Okay. You are live.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you are live.
The 1026 regular meeting of Council Cemetery Board is called to order at 4:39 p.m. Those present. Dale Smith, Mike Harris, George, Greg Northcutt, the Zoom, John Moore, and Council Cook. First thing we need to do is read over the regular meetings from April 27th. Dale second, all in favor? Okay, our old business, John?
Budget was passed. The quantum was approved, which is the software for the cemetery. As well as money, the 50,000. What was it? The dollar amount for the 75,000 was approved for the Veterans Memorial. Now, one thing I did find out after we had gone through that using a single base for all five was going to add somewhere around $13,000 to $15,000 more for the whole project. So going back and doing five individuals was, like I said, between $13,000 and $15,000 cheaper. Go that route. And with that in mind, to make sure that we still stay within the budget, I've made some modifications and created a pentagon shape. And then put a point on each on the pentagon is I cantilevered the 5 stones at each point. Still putting the flag in the center. Now, I can still stay with a half moon if you guys prefer that, but I'll just spread the stones out further. The whole thing was to have the stones with the stones would face the emblem for the service branch. The service would face outward, away from the flag, and the benches. Each stone would have a bench, and then you'd have your names in 2 rows on the stone. If you were sitting on the bench, you could read the stones. But each point would have both stone and bench. So use the same format basically. If you use the half moon, it's just it's going to have them in a half moon shape instead of a pentagon shape. They'll have it in a half moon. So you tell me which you prefer, and I'll kind of move in that direction.
Do we get into the diagram? If we had anything, I know we had the other one.
I can send that out to you.
That'd be good.
Yeah, just real quick, if you don't mind, and this is rough, but I'll send that to you. There you go. Just want
We really want to see if you could write pentagon.
Then you have a stone. Some people just have a knack for it, you know what I'm saying? Each of the would be there. Now this is also would be set so that yes. All right, and then the bench would be there, and then the flag. But yeah, that
Versus the half moon.
versus a half moon. Half moon would have basically the same scenario. It's just all the stones would be within the half moon. This end here would be like that, and you would set the stones something in that nature for the bench. The flag.
How big is the base on the Pentagon?
That hasn't been determined yet. What's that? Not been determined yet. I don't have it. It'll be big enough that you have probably 10, 15 feet between the flag and the bench. Okay. You would have probably 3 to 5 feet between the bench and stone. And then the walk around the outside would be 5 feet.
Well, it's gonna have to fit inside the circle back there.
Yeah. If you figure this, the point is, this is further than these three. Kind of interesting. If I were to center it, it would actually be down here. If I were to take and draw here, here, and here with a cross, it's gonna be down here instead of higher up in the center. What looks like the geographical center of your eye would be lower here in reality if you drew it by line. So we do it by physical center.
Well, I mean, because I know it's really for me.
What's the difference in the money?
Oh, no, these right there would be roughly the same. The original one was all on the same base, all 5 of them in the arch. And that was gonna be 53,000 versus 40,000.
So these are 40,
That was roughly around
Roughly.
40,000, yeah.
either or.
The stones, that's just the stones, that's not the whole thing.
Well, I'm talking about the whole thing,
Whole thing, we got 75,000 to do with it, to put it up.
but it'll cover either one of them.
We hope so. It depends on if concrete outruns us, but right now, that's what we're trying to establish. And the location would still be in the same place. At Grass Knoll and out there.
On the circle then.
Mhm.
You know, 6 to 1 for me, I like them both.
Well, the Pentagon stands, there's 5 branches of the service, everything else falls within those 5 branches. The Pentagon was what they got at in DC, and so that's kind of why I went with that, but just kind of goes with it. And of course, the star is a Pentagon.
I've seen both diagrams, and the half moon one is that driveway, that cul-de-sac, that whole area is just taken up with concrete, the whole inside of it. And then any landscape has to go on the opposite side of the road. But with the Pentagon shape, there leaves room for landscaping on the inside of the culvert
When you get the road.
versus the half moon. I'd say that's about the only difference between the two. I think they both look very aesthetically pleasing, but
Thanks,
the
up there.
Pentagon leaves room for
Landscape.
landscape.
I would rather have that, yeah.
I'll start with that and see where we go, and we'll come back. If there's anything that needs, I'll come back to you before the final decision is made, okay?
That's awesome.
You said in Washington, you talking about the Pentagon?
Yeah.
You ever see in the 60s, the late 60s, an aerial shot, and they had sidewalks coming out of the building? 2 came this way, 1 went this way. There was a giant piece of, and they put in another sidewalk.
It was just.
I was not
it
aware
was
of
a
that.
time. It
And
was a time.
I live in Malvern.
I know.
Yes, I got the same thing. Just worry.
I just,
That's what wants us to bring up the sticks around the trees at the cemetery.
I wanted to tell her the sticks come from the people that are moving. And
oh, they're piling them up over where they get picked up easier.
They're supposed to move them to like the edge and we pick them up. So, right now, the biggest issue is the guys are tied up, trying to get the streets ready, trying to get everything ready for a celebration, so they'll get to it. It may not be yesterday.
Yeah, but I get compliments all the time. Just about every day, somebody will say how nice it looks. And it does, I gotta say.
Anyway,
Yes, we do.
we do.
Walling down the hill,
It wasn't white, was it?
white. Down the back was
I
white.
don't know.
No,
No, it wasn't. Remember?
I remember.
and they're also foxes. I think foxes all over the city.
Foxes were living over in that subdivision.
I got one
They
of my
come running.
sleeping in the
I
house.
wish I did. I'd have to get some of the other roads.
So that's really all we need to do on that.
That's correct. At this point in time, that's really all we need to do. I've got to get back. I didn't get a chance to confirm some things with, Keepsake as far as that goes, but this will be something that goes out to bid, no way around it. So,
I think another thing we need to think about is how we want the names of.
these are 6 footers, but they're 4 foot wide, so it gives you 2 rows. Now, what I envisioned, this is what I envisioned, and I think you and I have talked about this, is all branches and sub branches, reserves, guard of Army, Air Corps, whatever, Air Force, those would go on those stones.
That board.
I don't know how you're gonna get there.
I mean, that's the thing about, are just randomly, that's why.
Yeah,
I'm
but-
Well, the reason I say that, if you try to do it in alphabetical order, anybody you add,
But, and I think it would be too difficult to do it by year, yeah, and you
just,
don't wanna do it by year.
all we're gonna do is put the name on there and maybe the branch of service.
Well, if they're
I
in
would
that
think
stone,
the branch of service.
No,
is-
yeah.
It's only you need bridge.
I just think the name is fine. Waiting.
First. What's the first thing we got out there? What event were they in first?
Oh, the first. See, this is not based on war.
based on service.
Time period. Time period. The oldest ones go first, then come on down.
Well, again, it's hard to tell that because you may have World War II veterans that are still alive, and you got Vietnam veterans that are going in there that have passed away 20 years, well.
We never done that with the crosses. They were just put up.
It's just one of those things that, we can try to do it to start, and that's fine to do it to start. But anything that you add throws it all out of whack.
Then name. Put it up ahead, put the name up.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, the only other way to do that, if we were doing it
But
alphabetical,
you can't do it now. They don't die that way.
stand that. But I'm just saying, if you did the first segment alphabetical, then if you drew put a line and add them each year that way, the only thing I can think of, I don't know.
The
But
things
you
like
can't do
it.
them by the year, they would do that anyway. That's too difficult.
No.
And then you can't do them by
When you
date
get a
of
name,
service.
put a name.
Just put a name.
That's what I'm thinking too. It's just put the
It's
name
gonna
up
be on
there.
their service stone anyway, so everybody can know they served in that branch,
If they have.
Somebody does it.
because he didn't want one.
Oh, it's gonna be the-
Well, I mean,
We just put the name
Sure.
up.
I mean, I would love for it to be,
Keep it.
I would love to do it alphabetical, something like that, but other
I
than,
think it's too difficult.
I think so too.
I think that there are people who are veterans, who are very veteran, don't have a veterans mark. We don't. Are we gonna try to, like, could we put something in the newspaper if you have a veteran?
Listen.
very veteran? No?
Well, here's the thing, I'm not going, the markers, no. If, again, the issue that a lot of people are seeing with the markers, from what I've been told by board members, is that these markers were sent. And there's no one to authorize their placement. That's the reason they're sitting in the storage.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
just
sitting
talking
there in
about-
storage because they weigh 30 pounds and it costs too much to send them back each.
I would like Jason, I have a cousin,
Yeah, but
and when his sister said, I will send you his stuff. I installed it, sorry. I pulled up to the mailbox one day and opened it.
Greg, you want to send him a letter, violation of the cemetery regulations?
I think we'll grandfather him in.
Tombstone was in my mailbox. So I went, I said, we gotta give her a special stuff for Christmas.
I know there's somebody that has to be there. But, I mean, the dads, the uniform just took care.
Yeah.
They just,
They did my father-in-law's.
they did everything, I mean, we're
They
going to
would
market
do
base, so we bought the.
Where are they
market base.
placing these? They place,
Oh, I mean, what area?
well, they put them at the foot,
That's what
Yeah,
at grade.
Well.
Think about your
dads-
regulations.
dads is
They're gonna have to be at grade. Just make sure that people understand if they're gonna put those in, they have to be at grade.
I think my father-in-law was great.
Yeah, I mean, because, and they're supposed to be put in, by the companies, not by
I think you're
individuals. But I just, we'll have to talk and make sure that. No? It's out there?
I've been out there a lot.
Here, you don't wanna hear.
I'm not gonna say when,
Okay, all right.
Greg will have to send more letters and he's got time for.
but I think you're right. I think you're right. There's more buried out there that ain't got a stone. For veterans.
That's all I was saying was,
I
and
understand.
so if they do,
Maybe the memorial will bring it to people's attention. They'll come out there and they'll say, well, I don't see my dad or great granddad or
You're right.
brother.
Well,
they don't have to be added. if they
That's
have
what we
proof
hope
of-
anyway. Because we've got people that are on that list that are not, we have no proof of.
Mhm.
We've got nothing on. We don't even know if they're buried there. And we had like almost 10 of those.
Let me ask you an off-the-wall question.
Huh?
And it-
Allison can take care of that one.
It's way up there in left field, but what about the Confederate people? Do they go on in money? Just a question, I don't know.
no answer. No.
Yes or no?
I mean,
Greg, you will jump in on this one?
How would that work out?
Well, I think we make that decision here. I mean,
I'm just curious because that's an American and he served.
well, he served the Confederate States of America. He did not serve the United States of America
Okay. that's
unless
all
they shifted over afterwards. But he served a different flag,
right. Okay,
okay?
that's why I'm asking.
And I wondered about that, and if they want to pay for a monument and you guys want to let them put it in,
Well, they're not, some people probably not even know.
Well, everything you're talking about, John, is put in by the city, right? We're not talking about individuals doing any of this stuff, right?
no, we're not. No, no.
We volunteered you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys can do whatever it is, whatever you want to do. But so far, what you've talked about, except for the footstone thing, are nothing, is not what individuals are doing. It's what the city is proposing.
That's correct. This monument, this Veterans Memorial is what the city's doing, yes.
And I was trying to stay out of the conversation, but John, the footstones, I don't have the reg in front of me, but my recollection is the only reg affecting the footstones is that they can't extend above grade. Is that true?
They have to be at grade. They can't be above grade. That's correct.
But other than that, there are no regulations on footstones, are there?
Just like a headstone, it has to be installed by somebody it's approved to install. But yeah, we don't
Okay.
stop them from putting one in, but as long as it's installed properly and stays at grade.
And what they put on it, we don't regulate that.
No,
That comes from the VA.
yeah, we don't regulate that.
That comes
No,
from
we
the
don't.
VA. You look at each other. That's how we do it.
They may regulate what's on it, but we don't.
Okay.
We don't
Well, I'm
regulate
still
what's on a
interested in hearing
headstone.
what you guys got- I'm still interested in hearing how you guys are going to answer Jeff.
my answer was no.
Yeah, but that's not the correct answer. Because after the surrenders, the biggest part of them,
Came back, but they weren't back then. They
But
were
they-
rebelled against the United States of America. No,
Okay. I'm not gonna argue with you, but they were drawing a US pension.
tough cookies, that's afterwards.
I'm staying out of
Uh,
that.
He's not accurate to 100%. He's not, but I'm not, we'll save that for another time.
Don't think with you.
No, there's no better. I just want it to be correct, not because somebody don't like it.
Well,
Okay,
that, the
I can't,
Veterans Memorial, just kind of is for American
So
U.S. service personnel. So it's not really set up for CS personnel.
that was just a question there.
Okay, I'm not
we
saying,
need to,
I'm saying that
when you
could
just-
be something down the road, but
when you discuss these things, you need to periodically go back and remember, what are we doing here? Because you truly can lose the forest for the trees. And what exactly are we trying to do? Why are we doing this to start with? That's a serious question. Why are we doing this?
To honor the veterans who are buried there.
Yes,
To honor whom?
the veterans that are buried there.
All veterans?
That's what my question.
Yeah, of any war fighting for any team.
But no.
That, we need to answer that we do need to answer that question, because that's going to dictate to some extent the answers to the questions that John's posing about how you're going to organize it, because it's a constantly morphing issue when you're talking about the guy who's going to have to chip names on rocks. And so you got to figure out on the front end, what is it that we're doing and who is it that we're honoring, so that you can come up with a workable.
I think you said that already. US.
United States service personnel.
Strictly US.
Yeah, I don't think the RAF needs a monument out here. Royal Air Force. Even, you know,
We have to put it in on our pin.
we don't have the money for another thing. I'm not saying. You can squeeze them as tight as you want to, but it's not going to make a difference. But this was what I understood to be U.S. service personnel based on the crosses we put out. And that's what this started with. And that's the way I thought this was going. Now, I mean, if it's morphed and tell me so we can work with it.
No, I've just,
Cause I'll
What
change.
brought that up through
the
the years, every time when they replaced the flags on all the veterans out there, there was always a Confederate flag put on that parade. That's why I was curious to see how that was gonna work.
That's a little different scenario. I mean.
Well, you was honoring them, you was honoring veterans with placing the flag. And he also got one, but he was Confederate.
What kind of Confederate flag?
There wasn't nobody about it.
The national or the
No.
battle flag?
The battle flag.
When did they put just the
I
national
don't
up
know,
there?
I don't even know who's putting them on, but there was always a little battle flag. My question, I guess, is why would he be recognized then and not now?
Well, so they're not recognized, but
No, in the process of what we're doing here. I'm not saying that that's right, I'm just wanting someone to clarify. If it's gonna be strictly,
regulation, that's what I'm
Being
saying.
on his, being a veteran, it was a veteran. It was-
How many Civil War, in reality, how many Civil War graves do we have?
one,
One.
so
So that makes it a pretty easy decision. Got one guy. We make a decision on one guy. It's not like we're talking about, are we going to do this for 300 people?
right. But it's still for US veterans.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just need to decide, are you going to do it for that guy or not?
I think we need to table the discussion.
No, I mean,
You want to table the project?
no.
No.
Well, I think we need to figure out whether we're going to or not, because that may change that.
No.
The design.
We're gonna have a want to have a separate headstone for one.
No, I wasn't meaning anything like that. I was just curious about the name. Who knows what branch that person served? I just know it was recognized through the years
Well,
with the flag.
one thing on the branches, sir.
No, I've already got that. Now, and that's not the answer I'm looking for.
That's not the answer you're looking for, but that's. the
No, I'm
answer
not
it is.
saying that he's correct. Put him on there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, what do you guys think? What should we do? It's a question, not that I'm forcing anything like that on this committee. Tell me what's right. You're just giving me your opinion.
No,
I just need to know what direction we need to go in.
let's go up to Mike Miller and look at their.
I don't care what's at Mike Miller.
Yes.
I'm worried about Calvert City Cemetery. You know, I mean, you can go anywhere, you go around Twin Lakes, Confederates everywhere. But that's not the issue here. We've got one, and I'm just curious if it's being recognized or not. If it's not, I'm good with that.
Do we know if he has family? Do we know
No.
if he has? We don't
Probably
know if he has family in the area.
Probably.
Speaking as a veteran, I served that flag. That's the flag that we're honoring and the people that serve that flag. That's what I thought. That's where I stand.
I have no problem with that. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just wanting some input.
But I'm
I'm all for just US. Yeah, I mean, I ain't got a problem with that, but I woke up a grizzly bear over here is what happened.
Cousins.
Come on. Okay, all right, here we go. We're good. Anything else?
I'm for me, you know.
Bring it up again. I'll make that motion.
Adjourned at 5:06 p.m.